Huge news today in college football. The SEC has finally done the right thing. They are going to 9 conference games plus another Power 4 game as well. And I love it, but do not make any bones about this. This was not because this was the right thing to do. No. They got something back in return for that. We are going to go over the most underrated, the 5 most underrated, and the 5 most overrated teams in college football coming into this season. We have to talk about the new starting quarterbacks that have been named in the quarterback battles and how those are going to affect other things. Michigan, their athletic director, Michigan's athletic director, Mr. Warde Manuel, he is on the attack against the NCAA. And I'm like, wait, what? What are we talking about, fam? And Northwestern, former Northwestern head coach, Mr. Pat Fitzgerald, talks about hazing and gives a strong statement. And we got to talk all about that here on the George Wrighster College Football Podcast and the Unafraid Show. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. And remember, I'm your boy George Wrighster, former NFL player, college football player, college football analyst, or CW here on YouTube or wherever you watch college football. So let's get started today. So the first thing is the SEC just issued a memo saying that they are going to 9 conference games. And we knew that this was coming because Ross Dellenger earlier today was talking, hey, yo, the SEC is very close to a 9-game conference schedule. They're close to announcing it. When they say that, they're telling you what's happening without telling you what's happening. So they are going to 9 conference games. And this is something that I have been clapping about for so many years. They were at 8 conference games, and this matters most. And I want you to stay with me because there's a little bit of nerd behavior going on in this episode. So when you play 8 conference games versus 9 conference games, that is a difference between an average of 4 losses per team and 4.5 losses per team. So averaged over the course of the conference. So obviously, some people are going to lose every single conference game. Some people are going to lose none, and people in the middle. But that's how you get the average of 4 versus 4.5, and that impacts the rankings in college football. Now, think about this. The SEC cried for so long talking about, oh, see, strength of schedule, and we need this and we need that. See, and so everybody will applaud the SEC. They did the right thing. They didn't do it without getting something in return. This was the first step in a compromise with the Big Ten on the college football playoff model going forward. So we got the 5 plus 11 model. We got the 4-4-2-2-1-2-3-4-5-6-7-8-9-10 model. We have, we saw that there were proposed 28 team models, 32 team models. And I was trying to figure out why those reports were leaking about the Big Ten and a 28 game model when we hadn't heard about the SEC talking about a 32 team, the Big 12 and the ACC talking about their potential models. Why? Because this was all a play, a ploy. This has all been marketing WWE style in front of our faces. So, but make no mistake, this 9-game SEC conference schedule only happened because the SEC cried about strength of schedule all offseason because Alabama, who didn't deserve to be in the playoff, didn't get in. Ole Miss and South Carolina, all of them were on the cusp. Oh, see, look at it. This is our schedule. Listen. So now what they got back is the College Football Playoff Committee yesterday. They said that they are going to factor in strength of schedule within their criteria for making the college football playoff. And I'm sitting there like, okay, so how would this have impacted the future of the college football? How would it have impacted the playoff last year with the SEC doing that? So, strength of schedule, there are multiple models that go into it. And to quote, literally quote, the college football nerds, I said I was going to talk about it on the show. they put out a very great tweet that I want to explain to you guys because this is going to cause the SEC to get a minimum of 4 teams in the college football playoff every single year. And this is why Greg Sankey and the and the SEC have agreed to go to 9 conference games. Now, granted, part of it had to do with the Big Ten winning the last 2 national championships and the potential for the Big Ten to win again or the ACC to win. They were like, hold up, we need to jump on this and get in front of this. So the College Football Playoff Committee has gone on this strength of schedule crusade because the SEC has wanted it. Now, remember, strength of schedule, and this is quoting the college football nerds, it can mean very different things based upon what formula that you use. You have the FPI, you got the FEI, you got the Sagarin rankings, you have all sorts of things. But the question is, which schedule is technically harder, right? Because that is a subjective term, right? Because I have gone on record as saying playing 10 Power Four games is much more difficult than playing, what Ole Miss is going to do this year and play 8 Power Four games. Now, yes, you may be playing some upper echelon teams, but is that really more difficult than having to go out week after week? Your bodies are beat up, your bodies are tired. That's the answer. So, which is harder? Playing 10 high school teams and the 85 Bears twice? That was a legit question by the college football nerds. So, the 2024 Georgia, you could do that. You could play 2024 Georgia 6 times and then play Charlotte 6 times. Is that more difficult? Or is playing Wake Forest 12 times more difficult? Because the first of those, obviously, is very easy to go 10-2 if you played the 10 high school teams and played the 85 Bears twice. And then you have because it's impossible to go 12-0 versus that schedule. And then the second one, it is very easy to go 6-6. Play Georgia 6 times, Charlotte 6 times. And then in that, it is also very hard to go 9-3. But 9-3 should be rewarded. And then you have the third one where it is relatively easy for an elite team to go 12-0 playing Wake Forest as they are currently constructed 12 times. So it's just the reality of the situation. So let's look at the different strength of schedule rankings. So you have Sagarin, which measures the difficulty of making a bowl game. So it'll actually rank the Wake Forest schedule as the hardest of the 3, playing Wake Forest 12 times. And then you got FPI, which is linked to ESPN. And we have seen the way that FPI, that it puts stuff out, because I have been absolutely appalled because last year it had Alabama finish in front of Oregon. Alabama, the same one that lost to Oklahoma, couldn't even put up a touchdown. Same team that lost 3 games. 2 of them that they had no business losing to Vanderbilt and then Oklahoma. Above Oregon, who finished number 1 in the nation and 13-0 in the regular season. But I digress. In the conference that won the national championship, including beating the national champions. But that's a whole nother thing. So that's FPI because it's supposed to be a, kind of a hybrid model. And then there is the last one, which is FEI, because it has 3 metrics for what is hard for elite, for good, and for average teams. And it probably does the best job of showing that a hard schedule for an elite 12-0 team might actually be relatively easy for an average team to go 6-6. Now, if the committee isn't educated on all the stuff that we talked about above and doesn't know which one they're using, then they are probably going to be wrong. And this is exactly why the question needs to be asked. Okay, when the College Football Playoff Committee, when they are adopting what strength of schedule model that they are going to use in terms of their application on who they're going to vote for in the college football playoff, give us what that would have looked like last season. What would that have looked like last year? Because that's a legitimate question. So take the AP Top 25 poll right now. The first one that came out, and then I have the Unafraid Show one up as well. So you got Texas 1 out of the SEC. You got Georgia 5, Alabama 8, LSU 9, and then South Carolina 13, Florida 15, Oklahoma 18, Texas A&M 19, Ole Miss 21, and Tennessee 24. And now I have consistently said that the middle of the SEC gets propped up significantly more than any other conference. They get the benefit of the doubt. So strength of schedule, like your preseason rankings, should have no impact on strength of schedule rankings because it's just a guess. It's a guess at best. So why on earth will we be basing a strength of schedule model on something that takes preseason rankings into account? Because preseason rankings are simply just, okay, who's your head coach? What is your returning production? And how have you recruited? That's simply what it is. And it is humans. And then we find out, oh, damn, Florida State wasn't that damn good last year. Oh, Alabama's iffy at times last year. We find out that Michigan is not a top 25 team, but they can beat top 25 teams. We find out all sorts of things as the season goes on. So we cannot allow the whatever model that they are going to choose to be draped in secrecy, which is exactly why the SEC did this. And now they're like, hey, yo, we bent. We came to 9 conference games. No, don't act like you did this out of the kindness of your heart. You did it because you got something back. But I will say, Kurt Singetti over there at Indiana, whose schedule I lamented when he said, oh, I'm going to an SEC model. Now, he was 100% right to bang on the SEC. But now, what you gonna say? Now, Kurt Singetti, you need to go fix that damn schedule. Ohio State's preseason last year, trash. Michigan's the year before that, trash. A lot of the SEC teams they only have 3 out of their 16 teams playing 10 Power 4 games this year. So, yes, that needed to be fixed. Off my soapbox right now. Next thing up, I got to give you my top 5 overrated and underrated teams in college football in 2025. Because finally, the preseason narratives are going to get pressure tested. They are going to be put under scrutiny. And today I'm calling my shot on the 5 most underrated and the 5 most overrated teams in going into this season. Because when you look at the criteria, we got return and production, we got losses and arrivals in the transfer portal, well, their schedule strength, the coaching and the trajectory. The coaching and the trajectory of that coaching. And then you have the recruiting and the transfer portal impact. So let's get to it. So the first team, we are going to deal with the overrated teams first. Now, the 5 overrated teams in college football in 2025 are as such. We are going to start with the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, where are they rated right now? They are number 18 in the coaches poll and number 24 in the AP poll. Now, George, why are they overrated? Because Tennessee's defense and running game, they literally carried the Vols last year at pretty much all times, except for in that Ohio State game. But people are sitting here acting like Nico Iamaleava was not a big part of their success. And not only are they replacing a lot of that defensive and running game from last year, which by itself would have been tough because they only allowed over 20 points last year, I believe, one time on defense. And they also have to replace Nico too. Now, UCLA had Joey Aguilar in the building at quarterback, and then they went out and got Nico, and then Joey Aguilar is now going to be the starter over at Tennessee. Now, the question is, will this be an upgrade for Tennessee? And they lost Squirrel Wright as well in the transfer portal. So if you are a Volunteer fan, if it's an upgrade, you are going to be happy. But if he doesn't, the easiest available question and answer in the world was, why was he available? That's the big question. Why was Joey Aguilar even available? Hmm. So my 2025 projection for Tennessee is they will not finish it inside of the top 25. Now, I have them as the number 10 team in the SEC this year because I think they're going to be down this year and hopefully back the next year. But sending Jermon McCoy, Joshua Joseph, and Bryson Eason to the NFL as high draft picks as well, and then continuing their streak of recruiting some of the best high school talent in the South, that bodes well for them. But in 2025, it will be a down year for Tennessee. Number two, most overrated team, the South Carolina Gamecocks. And you might be saying, hold up, George. Don't you have them in your college football playoff top 12? Yes, but I understand, like that old ESPN commercial, the gate is narrow. The gate is very narrow for them. Now, they come in rated 13th in both the AP and the coaches poll. Now, I have them outside of the top 15 in my top 25, but I do have them rated as a potential college football playoff team. So, on some level, yes, I'm questioning myself on some level, but I do understand at the same time that all these things are not super easy. But the question is, why are they overrated? Because number one, I am worried about their transfer running back Rasul Faison eligibility because there have been these 6-year senior JUCO things that have not been sorted out for all of the players yet. So we have to even see if he will even be on the field. And I'm worried about an inexperienced defensive line that will be relying on transfers from Campbell, Bowling Green, and Georgia Southern. Now, their beat writer, Jordan Kay, also pointed out that South Carolina didn't score on a single drive where Lenora Sellers took a sack last year. Not one. Now, granted, not a whole lot of teams are going to score when your quarterback takes a sack, but that is a very telling stat. And every team, they need to protect their quarterback. But if that trend continues, this is a pretty big or else for the Gamecocks fans if they are going to have to endure that sort of thing. And my projection for them, protect Lenora Sellers and make the college football playoff. And if not, this might be a team that flirts with 7-5. Number three, the Texas Longhorns, overrated this season. Now, they're rated right now number one coming into the season. And with they also have the most first place votes in both of the major polls, the coaches poll and the AP poll. Now, I have them coming into the season at number two and then losing in the college football playoff semifinals. So you might be like, George, how are they overrated because of one spot? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Because the Arch Manning hype has jumped the shark at this point in time. Because this isn't something that either of his uncles would have lived up to. Not Peyton nor Eli. And their offensive line is inexperienced at the tackle position on both of them, right tackle and left tackle. They both got drafted to the NFL. And Steve Sarkisian is 1-5 versus top 5 teams since he's been at Texas. So the whole entire point is that for Texas to live up to expectations, they are going to have to be damn near perfect. And do I think they will make the college football playoff? Yes. But this road is going to be a little more bumpy than people think. That's why I have them overrated. Now, my projection for them in 2025 is college football playoffs. But this is also a team that could possibly take a couple of losses in the regular season. And that's not what a preseason number one team just actually does. They don't just struggle throughout the season. They don't just, be touch and go. This ain't Georgia a couple of years ago where they just ran through everybody. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. All right. Next team up that is overrated. The Indiana Hoosiers. Now, Indiana and Kurt Singeti fans are getting mad. They're like, George, how do you not give an Indiana respect? Didn't you see last year? Yes, I absolutely did. And they're coming in rated this season at number 20 in the AP poll and 19 in the coaches poll. And I have them as a bowl team, which is great for Indiana's history. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't finish inside the top 10 of the Big Ten. But the question is, why are they overrated? Because starting off Big Ten play by hosting the Illini, who I have as a college football playoff team, and then traveling to play Iowa and Oregon is already a tougher schedule than Indiana played in all of 2024. Now, the non conference schedule, now that just doesn't prepare them for that type of struggle at all. It is layups all over the place. And the running back duo that combined for 1,500 plus yards and 20 touchdowns, they're gone. And you don't think that that's going to matter? Yes, Kurt Sengetti's a really good coach, but there's a difference between a really good coach and rebuilding an entire program. Because yes, they were good on a lot of levels and well coached in the front line, but to be a college football playoff team year in and year out, it requires depth and a lot of recruiting cycles, and they don't have that in the back pocket right now. So right now, I have for my 2025 projection 75 at the worst, 9-3 at the best, which is a respectable season anyway for a program that has just been rejuvenated and has a history of mediocrity. So don't get mad, Indiana fans. I understand. The truth hurts a little bit. Number 5, the BYU Cougars. Now, I don't understand how people are continuously rating this team so high. After last year, did y'all watch them play or you just watched the record? Because they came in ranked 26 in the AP poll, 23 in the coaches poll, and I have them as a bowl team, but finishing outside of the top half of the Big 12 by far. But why are they overrated, George? Because if they can beat Colorado and Boulder, then they could enter the holy war against Utah at 6-0. But a 4-game run of Utah, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and TCU is where we'll really learn the truth about this team and their freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeier. Because remember, the BYU, Mr. Jake Retzliff, was supposed to be their starting quarterback. He bounced in the transfer portal. So now we're like, oh, okay, last minute change. And ninth in the Big 12, to their fans, it might feel a little bit low. But you have to remember that the teams that finished 8th and ninth in last year's Big 12 actually still finished 5-4 in the conference, which is a winning record. So I'm giving you credit, but don't think that this BYU team is chock full of talent and that they're just going to be able to just run through the likes of potentially Arizona State in a Big 12 championship game. I already told you about the other teams that they play. No, they escaped versus Oklahoma State last year. They escaped other teams, and that rabbit's foot they had last year is not going to get cashed in as many times as it did last year. All right, now it is time for my 5 underrated teams in college football this season, and the teams that are most likely to outperform their projections. We're going to start with number 1, the Utah Utes. Now, they're rated in the preseason, number 27 in the AP poll and number 30 in the coaches poll. And I have them as a top 20 preseason team. But the question is, George, why are they underrated? Because Devin Dampier, their quarterback coming over from New Mexico with his OC, it gives Utah an advantage for this offense to hit the ground running. They have an athlete at quarterback who can throw the ball and run the ball. Got a chance to see the kid in practice. Things are looking positive for that offense right now. And their offensive line, they might have 2 first-round draft picks on it. At least one for sure. Come on, man. And Dampier is the most athletic quarterback in the Big 12. And not a lot of Big 12 defenses are equipped to handle a quarterback that ran for 800 yards in his last 6 games last year. My projection for Utah in 2025, that they could challenge for the conference at worst. Now, I think they'll be 6-3 in Big 12 play. And even with the toughest conference slate in the Big 12, they'll be able to do that. So that's why they will exceed expectations. Number 2, the Washington Huskies. Why do I have to be the defender of the Washington Huskies? Can anybody explain this to me? But where they're rated now, They got no AP votes. They're number 41 in the coaches poll. And I have them 23rd in my preseason poll. Now, the Huskies, why they're underrated? Because they were lights out last year at home. And this year, at home, they host Ohio State, Illinois, and the Oregon Ducks. If they win even one of those games and are at least 4-2 on the road, then they will absolutely 100% finish the season ranked. And their quarterback, Damon Williams, he is my dark horse for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. I don't think the kid can win it this year, but you do have to understand that he is in a situation where he has the opportunity to win one of those games. And if they beat Ohio State on Mont Lake early in the season, that is going to generate enough buzz. I think that's September 13th, well, September 20th, somewhere around there. Or so it's early in the season. And if they win that game on Mont Lake, you are going to see all sorts of hype surrounding this Damon Williams kid. Just tell you. And then their running back, Jonah Coleman, potential all Big Ten player as well. Now, my 2025 projection for them, fifth in the Big Ten and in the college football playoff discussion. So please, country, explain to me, why am I have to be the defender of the damn Huskies? But this is why you come to the Unafraid Show, to hear the truth, and be one of us. Now, number 3, the Auburn Tigers, overrated this year. Now, underrated this year. Auburn Tigers, underrated this year. Now, they are outside of the top 30 in both the AP and the college football, the coaches poll. Now, why they're underrated? It is when I look at the Tiger schedule, it's extremely front-loaded with tough games. And if by week 6, Auburn is a minimum of 3-3, then they actually might have a shot at 9 or 10 wins this season. But they at least have to win one game against Baylor, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, or Georgia. And I believe that they can do that. Now, the question is, will they be able to manage the rest of their schedule? And if they do, everybody going to have to apologize to Hugh Freeze, even though he's going to have a first down play caller, a different second down play caller, and a different third down play caller, which I think is headed for disaster. But that's a whole nother thing. Now, my projection for them, a 10-win Auburn would shock the country, but it would not shock me. Now, do I expect it to happen? Probably not. But I do expect Auburn to overcome itself, especially with all the news about multiple quarterbacks and the play callers and all that stuff I just talked about. But the blue chip ratio recruits are there. If you have talent and then you put some good coaching to it, and if they get good quarterback play, they got a shot. Another underrated team this year, the Oklahoma Sooners. And I don't understand why. Because they're ranked number 18 in the AP poll, 26 in the coaches poll. I got them at 17. Now, why they're underrated? Because none of you people watched John Mateer play last year at Washington State. It's okay to admit it. It's okay to admit you just saw the stats and you heard his name when it came in the transfer portal. But I was screaming about this all year. I had him on my Heisman ballot during the season. Come on, man. I was watching. I don't know if y'all were watching. Come on now. It's okay to be honest. You can't watch every single game. That's my job. That's my job. So then I can tell you what you need to watch and pay attention to. Now, I see people claim that his game at Washington State, it won't translate over to the SEC. It did for Cam Ward, buddy. but y'all think that Joey Aguilar will, coming from Appalachian State over there at Tennessee? Oh yeah, he'll be fine. Taylor Green did it over there at Arkansas. And it's hard not to play quarterback. Well, excuse me, as hard as it is to play quarterback, when you look at the SEC, it is not more difficult than playing quarterback in the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big 12 as well, because a lot of those are asked to do way more. Just saying. And then you'd have to be crazy not to have super high expectations for the rest of this roster. For uh, Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, Peyton Brown, and that Sooner defense as well, it actually might be a top 3 unit in the conference. So my projection for 2025 for Oklahoma is a top 6 spot in the SEC when all the dust is settled down. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Number 5, most underrated team in college football this season, the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now, they're rated 46 coming in the season in the AP poll. No votes in the coaches poll. And I have them as a top 4 team in the ACC. Why they're underrated? Because they probably have the best pure passer in the conference at quarterback in Eli Holstein, and one of the best dual purpose running backs in the country in Desmond Reed, and one of the best linebacking rooms in all of college football. But nobody knows that because it's like a well-kept secret around here. They're trying to they don't want nobody to know about their players because they might try to get stolen in the portal. And these are great building blocks heading into the 2025 season because you got Jeff Percy and Kendall Stanley that were great portal additions to this offensive line as well. And then you got Jaden Moore. He might not have been able to break out at Oregon, but in the ACC, he actually might develop into one of the best pass rushers in the conference. Now, my 2025 projection for this team is that Pitt has my projection for the 2025 Pittsburgh Panthers is that Pitt previously they have won between 6 and 8 games in 11 of the last 15 years. And this could be an 8-win year. And capping off the season, upsetting Miami in November could actually make it a very special season. So I'm not expecting them to make the college football playoff or any of those things, but I do expect them to be significantly better than people have them ranked coming into the season. Now, how do you get ranked higher in the season and how do you exceed expectations? It is because your quarterback play as well. And this year, there's a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of quarterback competitions going on. But the question is, who is winning them and if they are picking the right guy? Because sometimes they don't pick the right guy at first and they end up with the right guy, like happened at Utah a few years ago with Cam Rising. He didn't start the season as the starter, but he damn sure finished it as the starter after about 4 games. He came in and all of a sudden, Utah's season completely different. And it's happened at many other spots as well. Like Eli Holstein over there at Pitt. He didn't even get taken to ACC Media Day. They took another quarterback, and then he ended up being the starting guy. Just saying. All right. Now to these quarterbacks. First of all, I got to say best of luck and congratulations to former 5-star Malachi Nelson, who is going to get his first chance to prove himself as a starting quarterback at UTEP after he has left both USC and Boise State being the backup the last 2 seasons. So this is a kid who is on his 3rd stop. If things go well for him, that would mean there was some maturity. That would mean there's some humbling. And there needed to be some humbling for that kid because my kid was at some of the camps that he was at, and he needed to be humbled a little bit. But his talent, his arm talent is there and cannot be denied. And if he got the head on straight, he should do well. Now you got Syracuse. They're going with, as their starting quarterback, Notre Dame transfer, Stephen Gilly. And he's going to be their starting quarterback over LSU transfer Ricky Collins because Collins represented the Orange Men at ACC Media Kickoff. But then Fran Brown, he likes what Angeli has done with this offense and his prior experience. Now, this is the 2nd year in a row that a quarterback that played high school football in the Northeast is going to take over at Syracuse. And the 2nd year in a row that we get to watch a major college football cast-off get an attempt to redeem themselves, which I love, and I appreciate Fran Brown for that. Now, you also have Angeli's former teammate who was named the starter over there at Notre Dame, which is C.J. Carr. Now, he's getting the nod over Mr. Kenny Minchey. And Carr was the number 6 quarterback in the country coming out of high school in 2024, according to 247. And it is going to be wild to see the grandson of Michigan coach Lloyd Carr, yes, out there in a Golden Domer. So if we ever see Michigan and Notre Dame play with that kid at quarterback, sign me up. Please sign me up because I am 100% in. But speaking of the religious type institutions, we got Bear Bachmeier, who is going to be the starting quarterback over there at BYU. He's taking over for the BYU, Mr. Jake Ratzliff, who is a castaway there. And we are going to see one of them weird numbers at quarterback that we have not seen since what? Michigan or Devin Brown over at Ohio State in 33. We've had Michigan quarterbacks in weird numbers. Bear Bachmeier is going to wear number 47, which he wore in high school. And this is a kid who likes to lower his shoulder. He's got a brother named Tiger Bachmeier as well. Good, strong names by the parents. So I'm in there. Now, the Cougars, the BYU Cougars, they have a relatively light schedule early on in the season. So honestly, this is about as good a time as any to see if Bear Bachmeier can actually handle the job, which for the very first few weeks is actually going to be give the ball to LJ Martin. That is going to be his job. Give it to LJ. Don't turn the ball over. And if he can do that, we'll be in good shape. Now, another freshman that has won the starting job, and that happened over there at Cal, because you had Mr. The former Oregon commit, even enrollee, who then transferred to Cal. And I don't want to butcher the kid's name, but you have the kid from Hawaii, Elite 11 finalist, Mr. Jaron Kiwi Sagapuatelli. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Jaron Kiwi Sagapuatelli. Yeah, proud of myself right there. But he left there. He left Oregon and decided that he wanted to go over there to go to Cal. And it worked out for him because he wanted to start as a true freshman. And I consistently say, you have to be careful what you wish for when you are trying to start as a true freshman at quarterback, because it don't always go like you want it to go. And sometimes you end up eating a big old piece of humble pie. Now, speaking of people who should be eating humble pie, the Michigan Wolverines, after a sign stealing scandal, after having evidence, mountains of evidence, well, their athletic director, Mr. Warde Manuel, is on the attack against the NCAA. Now, under Warde Manuel's watch, Jim Harbaugh was suspended not once but twice and got hit with 2 separate show cause penalties. And their current head coach, Mr. Sharon Moore, now has a 3-game suspension over 2 years. And he has admitted to lying to the NCAA about how his text messages with Connor Stallions actually came up missing. And then speaking of Michigan analyst Connor Stallions, he upended the college football world by dropping almost $40,000 of his own money to film future opponents, and was even caught in disguise on Central Michigan's sideline. Now, all this is outside of the fact that former offensive coordinator Matt Weiss is on trial for hacking thousands of female college athletes in an attempt to secure private photos of them. And that he reportedly coached in a game after the scandal was unearthed by a colleague. And on top of all of that, another low-level staffer got busted for trying to meet up with a 13-year-old girl. Now, it's arguable that all of this happened on Warde Manuel's watch. So how do you keep the heat off yourself? You take a page out of the most successful American politicians, you stay on the attack. And that is what Warde Manuel is doing. Because the word that he used to describe the NCAA, he said they're unethical. What? They're unethical. That's like the politicians version of it was rigged. Come on, man. Warde called them unethical in 2023, and then he doubled down this week. And that's according to Pete Thamel in an August 2015 tweet. Now, Michigan is continuing to show verbal, aggressiveness. And they take a shot at the NCAA saying that the fundamental errors in interpreting the NCAA bylaws is why we got this penalty. You got a slap on the wrist for completely cheating. Yes, it's going to cost you like $20 million, but you still got a championship for $20 million. Come on, man. Just eat the punishment. Because it is a wild mindset to expect a fair and measured process when fair and measured isn't exactly a hallmark of Warde Manuel's tenure at Michigan. Because have we forgotten that he failed to inform the Title IX office at Michigan before he altered the school's general counsel when Tad DeLuca detailed in a letter to Warde Manuel how he was sexually assaulted by a former doctor named Robert Anderson. And that the school sat on the information for 7 months before another accuser went to the media. Come on, man. What are we doing here? It is a damn shame. It is a damn shame that you're going to he should be sitting there quiet as kept, hoping that he keeps his job. Or maybe there's a reason why he's keeping his job. Because as long as Manuel is blasting the NCAA for their investigative process, it keeps the decision makers in maize and blue. It keeps them engulfed in a persecution mindset that prevents them from looking at the leadership or lack thereof at their institution, because it enabled all of this to happen in the first place. Now, mind you, that doesn't mean that Warde Manuel knew about everything when it happens. However, when you are at the top of the food chain, you are the person responsible for everything that is going on. Now, athletic directors, they rarely survive stuff like this. Ray Anderson is out at Arizona State. Phil Fulmer didn't survive the coup that he pulled at Tennessee to hire Jeremy Pruitt. Warde Manuel learned from those situations and he stayed on the offensive instead of playing defense. Now imagine if he put the same level of energy in terms of setting the tone with the NCAA, in terms of if he did that with compliance. Because the perceived legitimacy of Michigan's title isn't from their illegitimacy, isn't from people being haters. Because maybe Ohio State fans, maybe they fit the bill. But the college football world exists far beyond Michigan and Ohio State, despite what they want to believe. And people out west, people in the South, people in the East, ACC country, they feel like Michigan cheated their way to a trophy. And it doesn't matter if they're wrong about that, because the NCAA didn't make any of this happen. And the collective NCAA hate only goes so far when trying to drum up support outside of your own fan base. Because maybe calling the NCAA unethical, maybe it saved Warde Manuel's job. But maybe it wouldn't hurt to tighten things up in East Lansing. Well, excuse me. It wouldn't hurt to tighten things up in Ann Arbor, so you don't even have an opportunity for the NCAA to mistreat you in the future. Just saying. And the last thing up, Northwestern coach Pat Narduzzi. He has put out a statement saying that there has been a settlement of his $130 million lawsuit against the school for firing him in the wake of their hazing allegations from 2023. Now, the school issued a statement that they did not support that hazing was going on and looked at Fitzgerald like he was the problem in the situation. And Fitzgerald issued a statement that said, for the quote, for the past 2 years, I've been engaged in a process of extensive fact and expert discovery, which showed that I have known and said all along that I had no knowledge of hazing ever occurring in the Northwestern football program, and that I never directed or encouraged hazing in any way. Now, my experience as a college football player, as an NFL player, when hazing was still going on, the coaches don't promote hazing generally. Like that would be weird. But they damn sure don't stop it or didn't stop it at that time. And I remember in Jacksonville, Jack Del Rio, because there had been some hazing incidents in the NFL, and the NFL was like, listen, no more of that, fam. And there was rookie hazing at Oregon. There was rookie hazing in Jacksonville. Nothing that crossed the boundaries of anything that, in my experience, that anybody should have been reported or anything like that. However, it went on, and the coaches knew it went on. Were the coaches under text messages and all this stuff saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna haze them tonight. We're gonna haze them"? No, but here's the thing: coaches are notorious for knowing every single thing that's going on in their program. They know when people's grades aren't right. They got people spying other places. They got connects with the police, connects here, connects there. Players on the team snitch that are on the leadership council. So you think that you want me to believe that Pat Fitzgerald, who played at Northwestern, connected everywhere in the institution, that he had no idea that hazing was going on? Come on, man. I was born that night, but it wasn't last night, fam. But you guys, I'm George Wrighster. This is the Unafraid Show. Make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, tell a friend about the George Wrighster podcast, and be one of us. Peace out. Catch you guys on Sunday. Oh, because games are starting this weekend.